Hello, hello. Okay, that was not going to work. I do apologize about that. I hope everybody's having a good day. Welcome everybody. This is going to be a Magic of Halloween. And yes, um I do have some some surprises. I mean, some awesome little information you guys are going to definitely be a little surprised at. I know there's not much um when it comes to Halloween that we do not know right as of right now. Um Also, it's very different, I would say. Very, very different. It's We all know what Halloween is like now, with trick or treating and the scary stories, spooking everybody. Um, just in general. And yes, I'm taking the time to share this out. Please share this out and let people know that I am live. It is going to take me just a second to get everything set up. Um, and yes, I keep getting beeps and whatnot. uh, so hold on a second. Yeah, it's just going to take me just a second to get things situated for Magic of Halloween. As I was saying before, with all the jack o' lanterns, the spooky stories, the spooky music, usually at this time, paranormal tends to peak. Hello, Van Life Biker. It is good to see you. Um, you've got so much of scariness and scary stories. People often wonder where the origin of Halloween came from and why do we celebrate it now? And why do we celebrate with scariness and talking about, death and the spooky story aspect of it? Um, Definitely something to check out for sure. And it definitely is something that, like, I was really kind of surprised, to be honest with it, um, when I done my research. And yes, van life, I am doing well. I hope you are doing well as well. Because I have a lot of tabs open to talk about what points that I've seen in these articles and elaborate on it myself. Um, the internet's getting extremely slow. So, wonderful day today for me. Got my van build out for the first day. Probably another month from being finished, but need to get pro paint. That's awesome. That is awesome. One step closer. Yeah, it's taken me a while. It's just now starting to set up on my end of things to be able to share it out. Sometimes when I go live, it does take it a minute to kind of do its own thing. And it won't let, for some reason, it just will not let me do it until I start a live stream for me to be able to share it out. So I do apologize. I bet, and I totally understand that. But as far as Halloween, it did surprise me some. And I got to have more of an understanding of Halloween and kind of where it came from, and I got more of appreciation for it. Um Definitely something that I didn't know about until I started researching. But one of the first things that I found about Halloween was their origin. Where did Halloween initially come from? And when I've went through and checked, I ended up figuring out some interesting facts. Um, the tradition started originally with it was an ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, and it looks, the way it's spelled is not the same way it's pronounced. Um, it looks, the way the festival is spelled is called Samhain for us, but it's really called Samhain. And in this festival, people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. And then in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor All Saints. So All Saints Day is literally the next day. Even All Saints Day was incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows Eve, later called Halloween, and over time it evolved into a day of activities And as we know it, like trick or treating, carving jack o' lanterns, um, getting dressed up in costumes, and getting eating a whole bunch of treats. Um, it says here that the Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in areas that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. So, in some ways, they literally started celebrating their new year the night before by warding off evil and ghosts and things of that nature. Um, it also marked the end of the summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter times of the year that was often associated with death. The Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. People talk in paranormal um, in a way similar to this. They call it the veil is thinning, meaning that the interaction between spirits and humans is starts happening more often during this time of the year. On the night of October 31st, they started to celebrate Samhain when it was believed that the ghost of the dead would return to Earth. Hello, Clown's Life and John Shelton. Hello. I will be back in bed. Have some time to figure out your stuff there. Thank you, Van Biker. I'm sorry it took me so long to start really talking about this. Definitely um a very interesting topic. It's got a lot of information to it. And so when they started the event, druids would build huge sacred bonfires where people would gather to burn the damaged crops and then animals as sacrifices to um, Celtic deities. During this celebration, the Celts wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. When the celebration was over, they relit their uh, the fires in their homes, which they had extinguished earlier from the evening, and they relit with the fire from the bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter. So that's where it originated from, and a lot of the traditions, or some of the traditions anyway, were kept through all this time. I'm adding another 100-watt solar panel and 100-watt solar controller to my van. Oh, that's cool. I am doing okay, Clowns Van Life. And yes, I am kind of like bebopping back and forth. Finally started getting going on um, what we know as Halloween and how it kind of evolved. Um, you guys want to know why we bob for apples around Halloween? um, Roman Empire had eventually conquered the majority of Celtic territory, and in the course of 400 years that they ruled there, two festivals of Roman origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebrations of Samhain. Uh, let's see. The first was for Feralia, and it's a day in late October where the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. There's a very big underlying theme to all this. The second day was to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol is the apple, and the people that were given this information said the incorporation of this celebration into Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today during the Halloween time, which is kind of cool. Hey, David. Amber, hello. It is good to see you. Now, let's see. When Halloween came to America, it was extremely limited in because of the way that Protestant belief systems were. So it was very limited to what you could and could not do for Halloween, if they even celebrated it at all in the areas of these colonies. First they started, as far as Halloween is concerned, they started celebrating, like they included things like what they call play parties, which were public events held to celebrate harvests. And then the neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, dance, and sing. And then it also states that it also featured telling of ghost stories and mischief making of all kinds. And then by the middle of the 19th century, annual autumn festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated anywhere in the country. So they didn't officially start acknowledging that Halloween was already a holiday. During the second half of the 19th century, however, America was flooded with, ended up, a lot of immigrants migrated here to America. A lot of it was a lot of Irish fleeing to America because of the potato famine, and it helped make Halloween a holiday in America, which I thought was pretty interesting. Some of the aspects of Halloween really was interesting, and I've only got a few that I'm going to talk about today when it comes to the magic of and where they came from. I know some people, my sister actually had an idea and asked me to do my research and look up some of the one aspect that I thought was pretty cool. Hello, Seth. Private chat rate. Hello, it is good to see you, Redneck Connection, Dreams Place, Seth. It's good to see you all. Porter private penny ring. Thank you guys so much for the raid. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that, Porter Grip. How is everybody doing? I definitely have like 2 or 3 things I wanted to also talk about, but that was mainly the biggest part of where the Halloween came from. It came from, they call it Gaelic, or Gaelic tradition, and it's called Samhain, but it's not spelled the same as what it sounds like. Really, really strange. It's Halloween initially was marking the end of one year to the beginning of their next year. It's 4 a.m. in the UK, enjoying the stream. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Seth, it's good to see you. Redneck Connection, Ken, hello. Private chat raid. Wow. And thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. It's good to see everybody. And wow, I can't believe it. I do appreciate you guys. And Clowns Van Life saying Angel share out. Board a grip. I'm just here for the panties. You guys are nuts. You guys are crazy, but I love you guys. I really do appreciate you. You probably will hear my phone going off every once in a while. But yeah. Now I'm gonna kind of go into a little bit of one tradition, especially around Halloween. We always characterize ghosts, and it looks like they have a bed sheet as a costume. You know, some people do that. Um, when we draw spirits, we tend to just make it look like a bed sheet, and we call it bed sheet. We kind of nickname it just a ghost or a bed sheet ghost. People wonder where that come from. Thank you, Ken. I do appreciate you. I appreciate every single one of you guys. But the origin of the reason why we do this, there is a reason behind it. Um, basically, I'm going to read some out off of this website called Tales of the Times Forgotten. They have a little bit of information and it makes sense. I don't know why this thing decided to do that, but okay. Um, but it makes sense. And why it reset, I have no idea. Hey, Carol, it's so good to see you. Good to see everybody. Yeah, my internet decided to try to reset itself, and it tried to reset my camera and everything else, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep rolling. Um, let me see, get back over there. Oh, not a problem, Ken. My internet dropped before I could say I may need to get off of here because I was supposed to go to work today, and they called me, or no, I called them, and they said that I didn't have to come in after all today. So I just kind of laid back and relaxed. But I was gonna jump off your panel, but I was gonna say goodbye, but my internet decided to quit on me. I really enjoyed your stream, as I always do when I get a chance to see it. I had a lot of fun last night, and I greatly appreciate you, y'all letting me up there on the panel with you guys, even though I was quiet. But what we call, I'm gonna nickname it the bedsheet ghosts. But there is kind of this kind of does make sense to me now, a little bit more than it did before. After doing my own little research, the best explanation that I found, like I said, was from Tales of Times Forgotten. And the article is named "Why Are Ghosts Depicted Wearing Bedsheets?" Basically, I'm just going to say it in a nutshell. Anybody that passed away in the Western European cultures, those that passed away were, it was common to be buried wrapped in a piece of white cloth known as a burial shroud, or what they call a winding or winding cloth. The wealthy usually were wrapped in a shroud and placed in a coffin, while the people that were poor often buried without a coffin, just having the shroud. And it became, because there were so many people that were buried wrapped in shrouds, it became common in England during the I'd say 1450s to 1750s to report having seen apparitions wrapped in shrouds. Now, back then, I figured something happened. Yeah. So, and even during this time, there was people that were being buried, and people thought they had passed as well. And I think this is what freaks people out. There has been people that they believed that had passed away, and they buried them. And some of them were poor, and they thought they had passed, but they really didn't. And they kind of came back to their senses, dug themselves out of their own graves. And yeah. So there were people saying that they seen others as seeing these ghosts as apparitions wrapped in shrouds. So it very well could have been people had gotten themselves out of their own graves and was trying to figure out and get out of that situation. Also in England during that period, thieves will often dress up in white sheets to impersonate spirits so they can scare people and steal their money. Uh, They even have somebody who wrote in, who was a English witchcraft scholar, um, have spoke about during the time of Shakespeare that there was people already using white sheets to disguise themselves as ghosts. But this was just one image that they depicted ghost, like an image of a ghost. The more popular image that people would explain, as far as ghosts back then, 15th, 16th century, um, ghosts were often portrayed as dressed in armor, not covered in shrouds. So, how did it jump from armor to shrouds? Hmm. Okay. It's telling me, this article also talks about one of the most famous of all reported apparitions in England during the early 19th century was the so-called Hammersmith Ghost. November 1803, there was various locals in the district of Hammersmith in the west part of the city of London started claiming they had been attacked by a ghost of a man who had committed suicide and buried in the Hammersmith churchyard the year before. Some of those who claimed they've seen the ghost described it as extraordinarily tall, wrapped in a white shroud. Then they started getting creative when they started reporting, as some people characterize the ghost as some kind of scary figure resembling a man wearing a calfskin dress with horns on its head and eyes made of glass. Either way, they were describing it and it was pretty scary. London at the time did not have organized police force, so ordinary people decided to organize hunts to go look for this ghost. On January, there it goes again. What the heck? Hey, Zach, it's great to see you. I don't know why this thing is doing this. And you guys can see me sort of. um but hold on just a second. There we go. That looks a little better. I looked really grainy anyway. Okay, my camera is being possessed or something. I have no clue why. I'm hoping that this camera's okay. But anyway, on January 4th, 1804, a bricklayer named Thomas Millwood, who was dressed in all white, was mistaken for the ghost by a 29-year-old something officer named Francis Smith, who'd gone out to look for the ghost. Second day, he come face to face with the most feared ghost in all of London. Millwood got shot and was killed. The accidental shooting led to a trial, which was very much public, because the fact that Smith had mistaken Millwood. Smith was the person that shot Millwood, thinking that Millwood was the ghost, because he was wearing white clothing, and that was the main thing of the trial. And a great deal of attention was brought to the particular description of the ghost being dressed in a white shroud. And then it keeps on talking about it, Then it says, that somebody actually started that rumor about the Hammersmith Ghost as a hoax to scare people. It was a hoax from the beginning. But the memory of the Hammersmith Ghost lives on. Ironically, 2 decades later, people began telling stories of the vengeful spirit of Thomas Millwood, who supposedly haunted the area where he had been shot and killed. And I wouldn't blame him. And also, in the early days of Halloween, there were really no fancy pre-made store-bought costumes like we have now. So children wanted to dress up and make their own costumes. So children wanted to make their own costumes, so they would want to go as ghosts. So they would use white bed sheets to imitate the appearance of a shrouded ghostly figure. So the children decided, because they can't see, they're going to cut eyes out so they're able to see where they're going. So after all this time and all this evolution of this, what they call bedsheet ghosts, people forgot the bedsheet was to represent a burial shroud, and they came to think of ghosts as wearing actual bed sheets. And that's where the bedsheet ghost started. That's why it just evolved here and there from a white shroud covering somebody to now it is a costume that is very easy for anybody to do. All you got to do is take a bed sheet, put it over yourself, make sure you cut holes out for you to be able to see, and you're good to go. Very cheaply costume for Halloween too. So there's that part. Coming up on 2 years of building the van, and I drove it for the first time. That is great. I'm very happy for you, van life biker. And yes, I'm back and forth talking about what I do know. When it comes to Magic of Halloween, stuff that I've researched, and I've been able to be lucky enough to have saved some of these save some of these websites so I can explain to you guys what this some of the stories as to where they came from. Um Another thing, why do we even wear Halloween costumes? Um of course, I mentioned before that the Celts had believed on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. People were, and they still are usually afraid of ghosts, so they thought we needed to do something to ward them off, right? Um, Basically, during the Celtic festival of Samhain, they would, light bonfires and actually wear costumes to ward off the ghost. They had originally thought if they would have encountered, if they left their homes, they would encounter a ghost, no matter what. To outsmart these ghostly beings, people would put on masks as when they left their homes after dark, so the ghosts would think they were also ghosts. During that time, young women believed on Halloween they could do some sort of spells or a Ouija board game to believe to receive the name or see the face of their future husband. Women would do things with yarn, apple parings, or mirrors to get answers. That's a little freaky. And no, I've never touched a Ouija board. So basically, they dressed up, and every Halloween I have to get apples. I think Run is going to scare all the costumes away this year. Wow. So even wearing costumes, people believe that that was to ward off other ghosts, thinking that the ghost would think that they were also ghosts and leave them alone. So, I mean, that's something a little different, something that I didn't even really think about until I started doing that research on that. And I've misplaced my pack of cereals. What the hell? Yeah, I think it's yeah, I think kind of think people are still going to be kind of leery this year for holidays or some of the holidays, and not going to be as much going around this year. I know where I work at, not a whole lot of people have bought for Halloween. But there's also people's other stores that have sold out. And as I was looking at why do we tell scary stories around Halloween? It's basically to get everybody in a spooky, scary mindset for Halloween. And you can go through history, all these different cultures. You can find ghost stories in every culture if you know where to look and how to look up um, for these different cultures. And then Halloween is like probably the best time to tell any scary stories. So we kind of got, you know, that's a lot of where our holiday comes from for Halloween. Trick or treating, I didn't really find a whole lot on trick or treating. Oh, come on. Now, trick or treating, during some of the Celtic celebrations of Samhain, villagers, of course, disguise themselves, like I've said before, to drive away phantom visitors, which means ghosts. Banquet tables were prepared with food and left out to placate unwelcome spirits. Basically, they made food and set it out to where any visitors that came to the house, they would, it was basically an offering for these spirits to get this food and to go away. I think that's pretty funny. In later centuries, people began dressing as ghosts, demons, and other malevolent creatures, performing antics in exchange for food and drink. This custom, known as mumming, dates back to the Middle Ages and is thought to be I can't even pronounce that, of trick or treating. So before that, before it was called trick or treating, people would still perform those antics. Literally, either you're tricking or you get treated. So you got, that's why sometimes there's you would hear about kids toilet paper or TPing a yard or whatever because they didn't get no treats from the person that was doing the Halloween thing. Not, I think that's pretty funny. When they don't show up, I have 100 pieces of candy for me. Yeah. My house is weird. I get 50 to 100 kids, and this next year, none. It's crazy. I never know how much candy to buy. Yes. I'm the same way. Like, it got to the point where it's like slowly people would stop coming around to get candy. And there was times like I would have to dig and get some fruit or something that was in my house already because I didn't have candy, but I have fruit. That worked just as good for me. And it goes on to say by the 19th or the 9th century, Christianity spread into Celtic lands where it gradually blended with something about older pagan rites. Like, it took precedence basically over the pagan rites that and traditions we know today. In 1000 AD, the church designated November 2nd as All Souls Day. I thought it was November 1st, and it's a time for honoring the dead. Celebrations in England resembled Celtic commemorations of Samhain, complete with bonfires and masquerades. Poor people would visit the houses of wealthier families and receive pastries called soul cakes in exchange for a promise to pray for the souls of the homeowner's dead relatives. Known as souling, the practice was later taken up by children who would go from door to door asking for gifts such as food, money, and the ale. Very interesting. In Scotland and Ireland, young people took part in a tradition called Geysing, dressing up in costume and accepting offerings from various households. That really sounds familiar. Rather than pledging to pray for the dead, they would sing a song and recite a poem, tell a joke, or perform another sort of trick before collecting their treat, which typically consisted of fruit, nuts, or coins. Wow. Some American colonists celebrated Guy Fawkes Day. In the mid 19th century, large numbers of new immigrants, especially those fleeing Irish potato famine, helped popularize Halloween. So it was the Irish that helped bring Halloween here. Thank you, Irish. The Great Depression exacerbated the problem with Halloween mischief, often devolving into vandalism, physical assaults, and sporadic acts of violence. One theory suggests excessive pranks on Halloween led to the widespread adoption of an organized community-based trick-or-treating tradition in the 30s. With the outbreak of World War II, when sugar rationing meant there was few treats to hand out, at the height of baby boom, trick-or-treating reclaimed its place among other Halloween customs and quickly became standard practice for millions of children in cities and newly built suburbs. No longer constrained by sugar rationing, candy companies capitalized on the lucrative ritual, launching national advertising campaigns specifically aimed at Halloween. Today, Americans spend an estimated $2.6 billion on candy for Halloween, according to National Retail Federation. And the day itself has become the nation's second largest commercial holiday. Oh, joy. Wow. And then there were 7. Why is everyone so quiet tonight? I have no idea. Everybody's been kind of busy. It's a Thursday. I figured I'd take the time to, in a nutshell, talk about Magic of Halloween. So I'm hoping that you guys got some good information out of what I had talked about, what research I found, and also kind of get another perspective. Basically, the Celtic I don't know how to explain it. The Celtic people had their own traditions and stuff. This Halloween, October 31st, is the end of their year. And they felt like the transition into the new year was when the veil between this world and the spirit world became very thin. The veil became very thin. And to ward off unwanted spirits, they would allow basically some form of trick-or-treating. They did do some sacrificing and done everything they could to protect themselves for the upcoming year. Oh, no problem. This is the kind of thing I love to do. I want to do more of it. And if there's any questions you have for any specific holiday, just email me or message me wherever you got me on social media, and ask the question. The reason why I done a Magic of Halloween was because my sister had originally asked, why do we depict ghosts as bed sheets, basically? And I'm like, uh, really, I don't know, but I can find out. So that's where that kind of started. Normally, I do a lot more research and a lot more talk, but I kind of rushed this just a little bit. I could have done more research, but the more research I'd done, it would go off way in left field and it was not consistent with everything else that I've seen. So I basically is like, I think this is more than enough. I can do some more elaborating at some point for next year. And so I figure next year I will build up on what I've already done today. And of course, we also touched on All Saints Day, which is November 1st. I don't know if I'm going to do a whole lot on All Saints Day or not. I hadn't really figured that part out yet. But because I am doing a lot more working than I am uh here on social media, I am probably going to let that slide for now and probably start working on um thinking about doing for month of November. I try to do at least once a week what I'm thankful for stream and explain it, different various topics. So how much is diesel there? I am not sure about diesel, but I know the price of gas was pretty up there. It's around $3, it seems like, for gas. Maybe it's less. I don't know. But it's climbing up. It's very, very crazy. But I have enjoyed doing the research and being able to talk about this. I know there are other religions that talk about different other um holidays that they have that I might not know about. So if you guys know of any holidays that maybe you had questions about, I could do my best to try to do my research and do all that good stuff. Do a magic of holiday. Um, so that would be kind of cool. Cheap gas here is $3.29. Yeah, I figured it was about that. It's about the same here. We are actually very close. I guess you could consider us close to the pipeline. So it's supposed to be just a little bit cheaper, but not by much. And it's sad that it's like that. Close to 4 for the good stuff. Yep. It's crazy how just within the last couple of years it ballooned so much. But yeah, you guys, I'm still working. I'm still, and all the managers have explained they're like, you're a very good worker. you're doing your best. You're trying your hardest, even if you can't get too far. Um, the the physical aspect, I'm working on. I'm getting better at it. I'm not hurting as bad. I am really getting a lot better with it. Uh, the job's not hard. Pro tip: cheap gas ignites faster in the cold winter. Run cheap stuff, and car runs better. Oh, I didn't know that. Definitely will keep that in mind. And but yeah, one of the main things I'm going to be working towards is getting me a car. Um, for sure, I need to be able to get back and forth to work. I don't like bothering people trying to get back and forth to work, so I am trying my best to get me my own car. Even if even if right now it's a cheap little car, I would rather have a cheap little car that can get me at least to my work and back than to have something break down on me. High octane is better for your car in the summer. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. High octane is better for your car in the summer. Makes it run cooler. Nice. That is awesome. But yeah, that is Magic of Halloween. Spooky, scary skeletons. um this year I am not dressing up. I am going to be working that day for Halloween. I don't know if I'm working during the time that everybody's trick or treating and whatnot. Glad you got a job. Yes, I'm very happy too. And like I said, I'm very slow at what I do, but I'm still doing it. I'm pushing through and getting things done. And everybody that I work with, I work well with them. They have had to work around me as far as physically. I've been having issues with my feet because of it, because I'm just not used to it. I could do about 4 or 5 hours standing without having a lot of issues. Uh Now when it gets any longer than that, then I have some problems. I definitely start slowing down. I do try my best to get everything done that I need to get done. And it becomes sometimes mind over matter. Like I know what I'm supposed to do and I'm focused on trying to do it, but my body's like, nope. I've had enough of you messing with me for the day. You need to quit work, get off your feet and rest. Practice makes perfect. Yes. It does take some time and a little bit of patience, and my managers that basically my bosses, they've been nothing but kind to me, and they have worked with me very very well with work. And like I said, the job is actually pretty easy. Try getting some insoles on the first paycheck. Well, I've already got a pair of shoes and some insoles, and it does help. Um, I'm wondering if I had another insole in there that it would help my feet out, hopefully. And Yeah, definitely like hoping and praying for the best, but I've got to save up money. Right now it is part-time, and if they need me, they'll still come get me during the day. They're working with me because my dad's not my only transportation right now. But they're working with me to get a vehicle um and get transportation, and I've told them that's my biggest issue was transportation all along. I like the cheap insoles best, just the padding. Those expensive gel soles make my shoes tight. Yeah. Um I gotten to where a few times that I've swollen up, like my fingers and my feet have swollen up to where I can notice it. And that's not a good sign. And I don't know if it's just because I'm not used to doing what I've been doing or not. I have no clue. But when I'm at work, I'm very focused. Hell, I've had, um, I will admit, I kind of snuck and helped out a friend of mine while I was at work. I stepped out for a smoke break, which they allow me to take breaks here and there. And I helped a friend out so they could go live while I was at work. And I could have gotten in a lot of trouble, but it never happened. So, um, I'm just glad and thankful that I didn't get in any kind of trouble. They very well could have gotten me for it, but they didn't. They're like, it's whatever. You were on a little break. It's okay. Not worried about it. I don't think they realized I was actually doing something for somebody on for a live stream. And I think, like I said, my managers are pretty cool. As long as you're doing your job and you're doing everything you can, the best you can. A leave helped me get me through the day. Yes, a leave actually has been helping me out more than just taking ibuprofen or Tylenol. It does help some, the other ones, but a leave has been my number one go-to thing to take. It, it doesn't take the pain away, it takes the intensity of that pain. It knocks it down to where I can deal with it, which is kind of cool. And I've learned I probably got that. I can't even pronounce it. I think it's called plantar fasciitis. And what it is the muscles and the ligaments that connect your heel to the ball of your foot by your toes becomes inflamed and it starts screaming at you. Good for pain, not as bad on stomach as aspirin. Interesting. Definitely been looking around to see if I could get a bottle of it. Anti-inflammatory. Yes. Um and with plantar fasciitis, it is very painful. Even when I do the research, they say it is very painful. It puts stress on your heels. It can put stress on the ball of your foot and your arch. If it's collapsing, it will continue to try to collapse. And the more you stand on it while you have an inflammation of that plantar fasciitis, it becomes very painful. And I've even got socks that like it's got these gel packs that you push in these gel packs on the bottom, the back, and the top of your foot. And you can do warmth or you could do cooling. Yep, that's why you need NSAID. Yeah, because that's all plantar fasciitis is inflammation of that area of your foot, and that's basically the only thing that's been hurting me. And the kind of shoes I've got, it's got arch support. I've got an insole that's supposed to be made for helping relieve the pain on your feet and help get the stress off of those areas that you're having trouble with. Like I done that map thing that they have at Walmart. They have a Dr. Scholl's map, and you get you go through that thing to figure out what kind of insole to put in your shoe. I believe it's the NSAID. Can't remember if it stands for, but it's anti-inflammatory. Yeah, there's a lot of NSAIDs that are anti-inflammatory. But yes, I complain. Everybody I know complains about hurting when they first start work, and I'm just hoping that the pain gets better. It gets a little easier. Yeah, sugar will cause inflammation in a heartbeat if you're not careful. Definitely having a balanced diet and avoiding a lot of sugar will help. And also, I'm probably going to be losing some weight, fitting into my clothes a little better because I am moving around a lot. So it is healthier for me to have a job than not have a job. Uh so but yeah, I'm making do with what I got and just keeping myself working and keeping busy and not staying in one spot. Exactly, van life biker. Exactly. But I think I am going to go ahead and get out of here. Much love to each and every person here. Thank you all for being here or listening to the magic of Halloween. And just a little update, I will be going live again at some point, but not tomorrow or the weekend because I do have to be working and I'm not sure what my times are going to be. It will get easier. I hope it does. I truly hope it does. It's not that bad. I've been working like 4 to 5 hours every time I've been working. Um it's been helpful. It really has been. And like I said, the managers and stuff they're working with me pretty good. So I'm very happy about that. But yeah, over this weekend I'm not going to be live streaming at all. So that's why I went ahead tonight and streamed. I have been totally unsure of like when I'm going to be working or not. So I've been trying to accommodate as best I can on streaming or being there to support other streamers. But definitely much love to each and every person here that have stopped by, that have been part of the raid and everything. You guys rock. I might head to Phoenix. Gonna get cold here soon. Yes, it's already gotten cold here. The high for today was 50 something degrees, and boy, was I freezing my tail off. So, I hope everybody has a happy Halloween. Hopefully, trick or treating will commence during this weekend, and you guys stay safe during it. Guess lots of work there, I found out today. Oh, wow. That's cool. But happy Halloween, guys. Again, much love to each and every person. Thank you guys for being here. And much love to each and every person that's here. You guys always remember, you never know what's out there until you spread your wings and fly.